Hi there, artists. So I'm going to show you how you can make a model magic flamingo. So I've already got my model magic, and if you have just plain white model magic, you could make it pink yourself by coloring it with marker and then smooshing it up. So I've got a pretty big size piece. And what I'm going to do, I also have a white size piece that I'm going to use later. And I'm going to, this is the background I'm going to glue it to, but for now, I'm just going to set this aside so hopefully you can see it a little bit better. So what I'm going to do to make my flamingo is, I'm going to break my model magic into two-ish pieces that are about the same size. Set one down. This one is going to become the body, and so I can make it several different ways. I like to roll it into a sphere and then gently push it down a little bit, but not flatten it so much. And remember to lift it off your table a little bit, otherwise it gets really stuck. So you're going to make a little bit of a cookie shape. And then with yours, you could end up leaving it like a circle. But if you're a little bit more, you want to try something a little bit more advanced, you can take your fingers on one side, and I'm going to pinch, pinch, pinch to make a little bit more of a teardrop shape. You see how this one's a little bit more of a teardrop shape? And I can continue to play with it to make it a shape that I like, that looks a little bit like a teardrop. So far so good? Good. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is with the other piece, that's what I'm going to make the neck and the head out of. So you can see it's all pink. And right here I actually mixed it with some white. So what I'm going to do now is I rolled it into a sphere. I like to do that, it just keeps me tidy. I'm actually going to take a pinch off that I'm going to save for the head. So I had 3 pieces of pink in the end. And now I'm going to roll a small coil. Remember, a coil, you might call them snakes or worms when you're working with Play-Doh. That's it, like the size of a baby carrot. So I'm going to stick it on here, and a flamingo is almost going to be like the number 2. Do you see it's almost like the shape of a number 2? So I'm going to stick it on here, but here's what the trick is, okay? I'm going to stick it right at the beginning of the neck. That does not look very good. It looks like I just stuck it there because I did. So you're going to need to spend some time mooshing it together to make it look like one form. Now remember, if you get confused, we can watch the video again. It's okay. Just do the best you can and look at the example often. Okay. And I'm going to bend it back because their head often goes a little bit back. All right. So that was my second piece. Now with my last little piece of pink, I'm actually going to take my white. I'm going to take half of my white. And I'm going to mix it with this just to make a bigger head. This is an extra step. If you just want to use this as your head, that's okay too. But to mix colors, you squish them together. I still have some white for my beak. Make sure you're paying attention to what colors. I'm going to squish and mush them like I'm playing with my food, even though I'm not supposed to. I definitely brought my finger muscles today. And actually, it's going to turn lighter, but not too much lighter, huh? With that, once I am satisfied, I can roll it into a sphere. There's the head. So I might as well go ahead and add that on. But just like before, you kind of had to spend a minute and blend the forms in so that it looks like the shape flows. That's a really good trick. And if your circle shape doesn't look like a perfect circle, that's okay too. All right, guys. The last step for the model magic is to make the beak. Again, start with a sphere. Start with a sphere pretty much every time. With this sphere, I could stick it almost like that, but I'm going to pinch it a little bit to make it more like a teardrop. And then with my teardrop shape, do you see my teardrop shape? I'm going to bend part of it down a little bit to make a little bit more hooked. A teardrop with a slight hook. Ta-da! Okay, now one more time to stick it at the end and see if you can blend the pink and the white together so that it becomes one piece. Take your time. Now, if you only get here today, that's fine, but you gotta finish with the model magic at one go. Otherwise, I can't really save it for an extra day. This is what you're gonna do though, if you do finish. Oh, actually, there's one more thing I wanna show you, and that's to add feathers onto the body. To add the feathers, you can use different techniques, like your fingernail. I like to use marker caps. And instead of going straight down, I'm using the side of a marker cap, and I can make feathers. As much texture as I want. All right, guys, I'm gonna lift mine up so gently. And I'm gonna go ahead and glue mine onto my paper. I know it still needs some stuff. My bird is not finished. To glue it, because it still has to dry actually, so you're not really supposed to glue it until it's dry, but we're doing a little cheat sheet. Just a couple little dots, because a dot holds a lot. Decide where you want yours. Okay, so for the rest of the details, on this one here, I used a bead for an eye. I'm going to try something different on this one and just draw with my Sharpie one eye. I left a little pink spot. On my beak, I'm going to make a line going down. And then the edges of my beak, and if you do this before you glue it down, that's fine too. It's probably easier, but I just want to do that in case you didn't get a chance to, in case you don't get that far today. I'm coloring the bottom of my beak black, and I'm trying to make sure I go on the sides too. This is why I really would have preferred not to glue it down, but I did. Taking my time. Ta-da! Could adjust the head a little bit, make it how you like it, because however you leave it, that's how it's going to be. And then for the legs are actually really cool. For the legs, I'm going to lift his body up. Could you see this? You can make a giant number 4. They have a giant number 4, and I'm going to go thicken it up, make sure it doesn't look scratchy. And on the one foot that's sitting up, I'm going to have to put some toes. I'll put 3 curved toes. But on this one, it's in the water, so I'm not going to put. The last thing that you're going to need to do is with your black, I'm making a few horizontal lines to make it look like the ripples where the flamingo's foot is going in. And that, my friends, is my flamingo. All right, there's 2 different versions. Okay, friends, I can't wait to see what you make today. Happy arting!